Can I ask you about the Trump assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania? This one, I've been getting a lot of inquiries on this one lately. Whether or not, for one, I think a lot of us questioned whether or not Thomas Matthew Crooks really was the shooter, right? This
Hmm.
young 20-year-old kid who apparently couldn't even make it into his high school rifle club because he couldn't shoot something 10 feet in front of him. And suddenly he's now a shooter that nearly gets Trump right in the head. Um, and then he's dead, right? And so you can't ask that kid questions. There's a lot of issues around, well, did the bullet really come from him, right? There's those questions. But then there's also some people are now saying, maybe the whole thing was staged entirely. Like,
Hmm.
why wouldn't Trump be demanding an investigation into his own assassination attempt when now we're investigating other stuff way more than the assassination attempt? I mean, you'd think that that would be a priority for a sitting president. Like, somebody tried to kill me, and maybe we should look into, was it just this lone kid and we just have really crappy Secret Service and this kid was able to, or is there something more to it? But it just seems like nothing. Gone. We're not even talking about it anymore. We just got the photo op, which has been fantastic for Trump. It's an iconic photo. I think every American, whether they hate Trump or like, they look at that photo and they're like, I mean, come on, that is quintessentially
Right.
American, right?
Right.
You rise from, you got blood coming down, you got the American flag. I mean, it's just like the most
It's
beautiful,
Rocky.
like,
It's the Rocky
yes, it's
poster right
literally
there.
like a real life
Yeah.
Rocky. And it's the best photo, I think, of my lifetime, I would imagine.
Right.
But then people are like, wow, now clearly it's staged. Like maybe there was a blood packet. Where's the shot in the ear?
Yeah.
Why do we not see, like, why is his ear fully intact now? Why doesn't it look like there's like a chunk of his ear gone? So, so some people are now saying that the whole thing must be staged, and that's also why they're not looking into it, because it wasn't real at all. I don't know. What do you think about
I think that most of politics is theater, and we've gotten to a
it?
place. We've gotten to a place where, yeah, we look. I mean,
Do you question? I mean, do you think, like, which side do you lean on? Do you lean on, yep, Thomas, like, there was a real shot, there was a real shooter. Maybe it was or wasn't Thomas Matthew Crooks, but the shot was real. Or do you lean on the side of, I don't know, that looks like Hollywood blood? I mean, you would know, you're a filmmaker. Like, is that Hollywood blood? Was there like a blood packet? Here's a reason to not buy beef from big box stores or grocery chains anymore. Think about it. If there was a plan to inject everyone 4 to 6 times a year and it didn't work because people started waking up and saying no, well, what's the next best option? Slip it into something we eat every single day, our beef source. And where do most people buy their food? Grocery stores. So right now, major chains like Costco and Walmart are selling beef injected with mRNA shots. You won't hear this on the news, and no one's going to warn you. In fact, they don't have to put it on the label. This is why the wellness company started Wellness Farms, 100% grass-fed and finished, mRNA-free, no vaccines and hormones, beef raised on hand-selected regenerative American family farms. Farm to table, literally. No middleman except the butcher and a UPS truck. We've all seen the mystery meat videos on social media. Save your precious time. Don't risk Big Ag's meat manipulation. Own your health, especially when your DNA is at risk of being modified. Go to twc.health/Kim. Use code Kim to save up to $90 plus free shipping on your Wellness Farms order.
I mean, again, it's so difficult to know for sure. I think, I think it's a little bit. It's definitely tricky, to pull off that kind of, in front of everybody, that kind of, Hollywood blood pack coming out of the ear. But at the same time, is it possible? Of course it's possible. But is the guy dead that was, that was hit in the crowd, or, is that a fake thing? I mean, as I said, we're in a world where there's so much misdirection. There's so much fakeness, right? When it comes to media, and not just like,
Yeah.
well, what media can portray, but also like how do you say, you start getting into like questions of, doubles and clones and all kinds of craziness that people think is, oh, it's far-fetched. Well, listen, they could clone sheep back in the 90s. You don't think that we're in a whole other reality that people don't know about? I mean, when you really get into this, the conspiracies around these events, you name it, going back to Roswell and what's been disclosed about the reverse the reverse engineering of craft that we've known this kind of stuff. We've had many people talk about this and whistleblowers come forward. And I think a lot of us have seen craft that we're like, okay, that's probably not from our dimension, but that looks just like a really advanced, stealth bomber flying over. What's going on, right? There are programs and things that completely would blow people's minds, I would say, if they understood how things really worked. That it's far more like how do you say, this is far more Wizard of Oz than people understand, in the sense that it's this kind of the illusion of power, but there are things that are very advanced technologically that's happening. So when it comes to these questions of, like, whether or not Trump was really hit, or whether or not it was a real conspiracy and who did it, I'm at the point of just being like, let's look at what's happened since. From that moment, it felt like this whole, like, well, first of all, from the moment of Biden coming into office in 2020, it's like we all knew the thing was rigged. No one could say
Mhm.
it. I lost my
Right.
YouTube over questioning it. And it was a completely, like, it's a crazy idea to have an election when you literally are having like 10, 15, 20 million mail-in ballots. I mean, it's absurd,
Mhm.
completely absurd. But so from that moment, I was like, Biden comes in, everybody knew no one was home there. It felt weird. It was like the whole thing just felt like you're looking at this kind of like this theatrical version of DC. It was like the whole thing was under lockdown, and it didn't feel like a real administration. And we knew Biden wasn't running it. I mean, it was just evident. The guy literally, like, a couple months in, was out there, on his bike, falling off his bike and talking about Robert E. Lee in Afghanistan. It was like, what the hell is going on? This guy is not running the country. So for 4 years, they wanted us to believe that Biden was the president of the United States, when clearly he was not in his capacities. And then, and all of a sudden 2024 comes around. They don't allow RFK Jr. to have, be part of the debate. They don't allow, or Marianne Williamson, but, like, let's say any other contender to the debates, to primary process, as would be normal in
Yeah.
24. Biden is anointed as the next, he's going to be their champion for the Democrats. And then he goes on stage, he gets destroyed by Trump. Now, Trump was already in a good position. Why would he need to fake his assassination right after that debate? I mean, just if he was staging it, that's what I'm saying. I think there's something much bigger that's always at work here. It's
Yeah.
much bigger than one party or it's not Trump running this. It's not Biden running this. There's a whole other orchestration that's giving you a puppet show, left
Yeah.
versus right. So Trump is now, he's like, your champion. They install Kamala as their candidate. Never, no primary, nothing. She's completely, out of her depth here. And even though they say she's the most qualified, blah, blah, blah. And basically, it's like all of a sudden the energy shifts. Now Trump is, got Mark Zuckerberg, who all of a sudden looks human, talking about how cool it is to see Trump, rising up. And all of a sudden all the Palantir guys are installing, JD Vance as VP. There's a whole other thing going on, as I point. It's not about the theater. It's about what's taking place, is that there was a choice to bring Trump back, to allow him to win the election, or whatever happens. I don't even know if any
Right.
election is real at this point. But the point is that
Yeah.
he was allowed to, the energy had shifted, you could tell, like, back to Trump, right? And now it's like he's doing his thing. But has he done what he promised to do? Where's the peace with, between Russia and Ukraine? Where's the Epstein files? The JFK documents. Okay, yeah, but they're still blacked out. I mean, it's
Right.
just like, what's really running the country?
Not the president. I mean, and that's, I think a lot of us are coming to that conclusion, or have come to that conclusion, which is, yeah, it's all a facade. It's all fake. Like, they're putting in, and it's like, it doesn't matter which president we get. Even with Trump, we thought we were going to get something different. I mean, many of us were like, okay, let's try throwing the Molotov cocktail into the thing and see what happens. And then he gets there, and he's been the most disappointing, in my opinion, like the worst president, the most disappointing president that I've ever seen. And I was really hopeful for that guy. I mean, I wanted him to win.
Mhm.
I thought he for sure would be fixing things. And instead, we're blowing up boats without, in Venezuela, without any due process for these people. Keep blowing up boats and just saying, well, there's drugs on board. And it's like, well, where were those drugs going? And how do you know that they were drug? And then,
Yeah.
you got Pete
How
Hegseth
about
sitting there
seizing
being
them? How about
right.
seizing
How
them?
about seizing them? Yeah. Why do we have to blow them up? Like, why don't
Yeah.
you actually just confiscate, get on board and show the evidence of this? But you blow it up, then there's no evidence, and the war in Russia, with Russia and Ukraine, that's not ending. funding the genocide, giving the Israelis everything they want. Now talking about rebuilding Gaza, and having all of these American investors rebuild. It's like, that's not America first. Buying Greenland, taking Canada, rebuilding Gaza, war after war, going after Venezuela. I mean, this is just not, well, what it is more of the same. It's not like, I guess I should say, well, I mean, I don't think Biden would have been, I don't know if they would have started blowing up boats. So that's why I kind of now I've kind of said, okay, Trump is now, in my opinion, now the worst. He's like crossed the threshold, because
Well,
all the rest of them would have done the
we
same.
saw Obama do the same thing with drone strikes. I mean,
Well, okay, that's true.
you know,
So Obama,
it's not
yeah.
about, as I said, it's this is all political theater.
Well, that's the thing. It's all
There's,
the same. It doesn't
yeah,
matter who's in there. We thought we were getting Trump. We thought we were getting somebody different. And instead, we're getting, I guess what makes him really bad, and also Obama, is the fact that, because Biden, like, he didn't promise anything, right? He didn't.
he didn't promise anything. He didn't know where he was.
I didn't know where he was. And he was wearing, it was like somebody under a mask that whole time, right? That's the theory, like those really sophisticated
I
masks,
I
right?
tend, yeah, I mean, I tend to think if they put someone under a mask, then it was definitely intended to punk the entire American, and not just the entire world that was being punked, basically, if they had someone under a
Right,
mask.
right.
Otherwise it was Biden with dementia. Otherwise, it was a defective clone.
I mean, but I mean, Trump made promises, right? I mean, he came along and he's like, America first, and we're going to do America this and America that and America this. And then we're not getting any of that. So that's why I'm like, gosh, you've just been the most disappointing. Obama was pretty damn disappointing too, though, for a lot of people, because he made a lot of hope and change and, and then ended up being like also really a warm, nothing changes. So
No,
because nothing changes, it's like you said, this is just political theater at this point. They're putting in who they want at any, it's like, why? And I don't want to say why vote, but then I say, well, why vote? I mean, if they're
yeah,
just going to give us who they want every time anyway, like with the facade, just reminds me when I was in the 5th grade. I mean, this is kind of a funny story, but when I was in 5th grade, there was a brand new elementary school, and they led us to believe, all of the students, that we were voting for the mascot. They put on a vote, and they're like,
that's
okay, what do you want to be? Do you want to be the Bears? Do you want to be the Cougars, or do you want to be the Appaloosas? Do you know what an Appaloosa is? It's a horse with spots on its butt. Okay. Nobody knows what an Appaloosa is, but they made us believe that we were going through this little election to kind of teach us democracy. And they sure gave us a lesson in democracy, because we voted for the Cougars, right? Every kid wants to be, well, we're the Cougars. We're the Cougars or the Bears, like whatever. And they were like, guess what won? The Appaloosa. You're going to be the Appaloosas. And it's like, no kid voted for the Appaloosas.
oh my
Nobody did.
god. At least they
We
could
held
have
a
tried to sell it
protest,
better. They could have been like, "This Appaloosa is a magical being. It's
right? Like a
no,
unicorn.
no other school is in Appaloosa. Like, you'll be the only ones in the world." And
No, we
at
all
least they could.
voted for, we wanted to be the Cougars. They gave us Appaloosas. We kids actually staged a whole protest. It was on the news. We went out there. We were marching around the school grounds. We were like, we did not vote for this. I mean, we learned, and that was like my first lesson in real democracy, which is there is none. I mean, the powers that be will decide. They've already decided. They make you believe you're voting. And in the end, you end up with the Appaloosa. So,
So just to your point about, like, it's this theater, and then you get someone like Charlie Kirk who's starting to question and think critically, and not just toe the party line, right? And he's like, he starts to question things around Israel, and like, hey, why can't we criticize Israel for this, for its methods of war, or how about the October 7th event? Just doesn't make sense. Kind of like questioning 9/11, and all of a sudden he's dead. So it makes you think, okay, so basically they're sending a message. Someone like him. Well, first of all, someone like him, you could imagine running for president in a few years. He could have
yeah.
been that, the next JFK type who comes in and challenges things and challenges the war machine, because he's very, he has strong Christian beliefs, it seemed, right?
And
So
America first. He
exactly,
was really
yeah,
more of an America first guy, and becoming more and more every day, it
exactly.
seems.
So someone like that, you can't let him have sway over millions of young people. So he's gone. And it
So
also
it's
sends a message, hey, silence the throat.
Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. It is free for you to watch. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, KimIversonShow.com. See you there.